What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. Welcome to Fightful. It is April 20th. We are not in the wee hours of the 21st yet, but we will be, by God. Our second show on Easter, technically. We're here to review night 2 of WrestleMania. I'd like to welcome all of you to Fightful. It's been an insane week. I'll tell you about some of the stuff that we've had. But first, we got Jeff Hawkins back here. Jeff, a lot of great reviews for your performance last night.
It's not, you didn't hire a chimp. I've been doing this Fightful thing for years now, kids. Come on.
You showed up with your bald spot and your jorts, and you were ready to rock.
My bald spot being my entire head.
There you go. It still counts.
Also, by the way, shout out to Fightful's Joel Pearl doing the work in Las Vegas.
Listen, there was, and also I want to first off thank Circa Las Vegas because, quite frankly, they made a lot of this trip possible for us. They were the official hotel of Fightful. You had wonderful wrestlers like Shaza McKenzie and Laney Luck hanging out poolside watching WrestleMania. How can you beat that? Besides, literally hanging out with anybody else that was there. But that's neither here nor there. Circa Las Vegas has a bunch of WWE wrestlers that came and went through there all throughout the week. They were wonderful. I saw so many people posting pictures from Stadium Swim, and I want to thank them so much. But I want to thank all of you who are watching this. Please leave a thumbs up on this video. Drop a fruit emoji. But more importantly, if you want a question or statement answered, read on the air, donate a super chat here at youtube.com/Fightful or a humper chat over at humperchats.com. That's if you're one of the thousands that watches us live on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, or on YouTube, and you just want to make sure that it's seen there. But check that out. And, of course, always support FightfulSelect.com. If, you already subscribed to Fightful Select or you were like, you know what, I want to get more than one question in, $5.99 a month gets you a whole bunch of Q&As. I did one Saturday, did one Sunday. I'm going to do another one Monday afternoon just because it's the season, right? It's the time to do that. I've got a Discord where you can ask questions nonstop, and we've got Ask SRS articles up 4 or 5 times a week. And you might say, well, Sean, this is the first time I'm ever tuning into Fightful. Why the hell would I ask you anything? Well, because over at FightfulSelect.com, we break a significant percentage of the wrestling news that ends up on Facebook pages or Twitters. We are your favorite wrestling news sources, actual wrestling news source. So check that out, FightfulSelect.com. I know some of you say, why on earth would I pay for wrestling news? I completely get it, especially in this landscape. But I promise you will enjoy what we have going on over there at FightfulSelect.com. Jeff, we had a monster scoops thread over at Fightful Select, and I don't want to. You know what?
No, work through it. Come on.
No, not even that. There was something that I put out there a number of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
People were kind of mean to me about it, Jeff.
Well, hold on. Wrestling fans on the internet are being mean.
Yep.
Much like in the comments when you announced I was on the show. Yeah.
You know what? I think it was oh gosh, October, November. Dave even said something as well. Watch Not Wrestling at WrestleMania. And then I found out later, he told them he's not even going to be at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
A lot of people were really, really mean about that.
Jeff, for one cannot believe that wrestling fans on the internet.
And Jeff, you know me, I ignore the hate. I never respond to it, never signal boost anything like that. I've never been known to do that. It's just, I rise above the hate.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say, guys, just be a little bit nicer. You'll always hear people say, well, Sean, you bully people on the internet. No, I match people's energy. And a lot of people are really terrible.
I, for one, would like to say, eat it, jerks. There you go.
Yeah. I don't like that I was right about this story. I wish I was wrong about this story. But The Rock should have been here tonight, and he wasn't.
Yes. I've been sitting here pondering about this ending, because Do you mind if I go right into it, or should we wait and build to it, Sean?
We'll build, because I am going to plug this FightfulSelect.com scoops thread. We had the full rundown of the matches. We had a lot of stuff. Randy Orton's opponent was unlisted internally, but it wasn't Rusev. We had put that out there before the show as well. Sami Zayn had been around visiting. Rey Mysterio was backstage. Seemed like he was in good spirits. A lot of details on Bayley. I'm going to get to them as the matches like call for it, but there were some things like Chelsea Green we had reported on Monday that not only did she not have a match, she wasn't planned for WrestleMania at all. I think this was a monster misstep and not putting her in front of a very casual audience, Jeff, to do the type of thing that Chelsea Green does. It was very unusual, but I think there were an awful lot of missteps as it relates to this. But I'll have another Fightful Select Scoops thread wrapping up Mania week as well. But let's get into this show, by God. There's so many things to talk about. We're going to be bringing you guys some of the betting favorites and underdogs from our wonderful partner at BetOnline AG. Last night we were 6 for 7. Tonight, slightly less accurate. I think maybe missed 2 tonight, but there were no lock picks. This was a tough one to call. John Cena was my safest bet. New Day was my second safest bet. But we always want you to bet responsibly and only bet what you can. But BetOnline AG, that's where we were getting our odds even before we partnered up with them. Whether it be boxing, MMA, pro wrestling, that's not it. Like, I mean, NCAA, NBA playoffs are going on right now. NHL playoffs about to get started. You got the NFL season, but they've got a VIP rewards program. They've got the ability to compare their competitors. They got the quick payouts, the highest credit card acceptance, and in a safe and secure environment. Bet big with their high limits and rebet functionality. If you're into crypto, you can deposit with that. And they've got great rewards. Check out BetOnline AG. But I think a pretty safe bet, Jeff, was that the opening match was going to absolutely hump. And I am of the opinion that this opening match, Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, is right up there with probably, I'd have the conversation, that and Brett and Owen as the top opening matches that I've seen at WrestleMania. As far as that goes, were you as in love with this match as I was?
I might say it might be my favorite WrestleMania match. It's in the conversation. This thing was absolutely sublime. I adored this.
Oh man.
People forget when Io Shirai signed with WWE, she was the best wrestler in the world. And I think this is one of those interesting times where wrestling fans and wrestling pundits such as yourself and myself, we like to get in the heads of management and bookers,
sure,
and think about what they're thinking. And, oh, it's WrestleMania. Who's going to get to have the big moment here? Oh, they love Rhea and Bianca so much, so it's going to be one of those. But this is one of those times where they were telling you the story that they were telling. Io Sky is an afterthought in this match. So what is the solution to that problem? We then have Io win, so she's no longer an afterthought. This match was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, man.
And it was from the opening bell to the end of the match. There was. I had a reputation when I was on Fightful of being a bit of a crank and hating everything, and I can't see. There is nothing to criticize in this match.
Nothing. I didn't see one. I didn't see one misstep. I didn't see one thing to bitch about. I think this was. This is why people like CM Punk himself were like, yeah, that should probably be the main event of night one. And had this been the main event of night one, nobody would have been disappointed. I don't think so.
It's the match of WrestleMania for me.
Yeah.
What about you? Yeah. And all three did their part. And yeah, this was a showcase for Io. She absolutely killed it in this match. Go ahead. Sorry.
I have long believed that Rhea and Bianca is main event level caliber, and inserting Io in it, like, I always knew it would create a great match. I was just like, okay, what kind of story are you going to tell? Because Rhea Bianca is a dream match. Adding another element in, it's no shot at Io, but to anybody else, it's like does it dilute? Well, we knew in the ring it wasn't going to dilute. For sure not. Because I think Io Sky is probably the most consistent in-ring performer that WWE has. Like, I think that she always delivers. A couple of interesting elements here, Jeff. This is the first match that a Japanese woman has ever won at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Ever.
Because Asuka always lost, and Io lost to Bayley last year.
Kyrie as well. And if you
Kyrie
want to
too,
go
yeah.
beyond that,
Jumping Bomb
think back,
Angels?
when do you think like the last time a Japanese person won a WrestleMania match? It was Yoshitatsu on a battle royal.
Wow. Okay.
And before that, it was Taka Michinoku. And I had a lot of people say, what about
I had
Akebono?
Taka.
Akebono was a Hawaiian man, just so
Right.
you guys know.
Right.
And then I know there were a couple, like maybe in the 80s, maybe 90, but like it ain't a strong history. Like somebody pointed it out on our Q&A today, and I was like, oh my God. Asuka's like 0-6, and Nakamura's like 0-3, and Tozawa ain't getting on these shows. Like Io and Kyrie just weren't winning. So this is big. And DNC Digital says shot up to top Mania openers of all time. It was phenomenal. Like there were some really beautiful spots in this. The assisted barricade sling was just magnificent. I loved Rhea using the Razor's Edge, a little nod. It wasn't necessarily a nod to Razor. It was a nod to Damian Priest, who we were going to see in the next match, into Bianca. There was a spot where Rhea had the prism trap on Io, and I thought that Bianca was about to lift them both up in a KOD.
Yeah.
I was like, part of me was like, oh no. But I also was like, I want to see it. I want to see it. The double back suplex was really great. Io's arm drag out of a super riptide was magnificent. Then there was this beautiful poison Rana from the top attempt.
Yeah.
Rhea caught and does what we call the Bama Slamma, the inverted Alabama slam. And you hear just
the thunk. Yeah. That's the moment of the match for me. When she hit that post like that, I went, oh, that's so beautiful the way they did that.
Then you got the KOD, and then you hit the moonsault. Now, I feel like commentary earlier in the night telegraphed that Bianca might take the pin. Now, Bianca was actually the Bet Online AG favorite. So Io Sky, an underdog winner. I feel like Rhea should have taken the pin, and then you could have at least continued to say Bianca has never been pinned at WrestleMania, and that can at least be something.
Well, they kind of telegraphed it a little bit with the whole. They gave her a loss because she lost at a battle royal.
That's what I was getting at. And my ADHD got the better of me, and I'm like, come on, like a battle royal.
Yes, yeah, it doesn't count as a loss. It just means you didn't win the battle royal. A loss is an actual loss where you like get pinned or disqualified or whatnot. I heard that. I went, that is an odd thing to shoehorn in here.
You know how many that's not going to work for me, brothers, we're going to see in battle royals moving forward?
Although if you're doing that for a purpose, like did Undertaker go backstage and go, look, I'm the only one who can have a streak.
Yeah.
Out here.
And I think a women's streak would bode well. Now, I believe the record, do you know who holds the unbeaten record, I believe, for women?
Trish?
Sable, 3-0. I'm pretty sure that's who it is.
I don't think she's going to have another Mania match.
I don't think so either. Do you think she'll ever get inducted in the Hall of Fame?
I think it depends on how this Vince McMahon suit goes.
2 years ago, I would have said yes. I would have said eventually they do. Now, not so much. But, that was another thing in the Fightful. Actually, we've got some details on already hearing some stuff about next year's Hall of Fame in the Scoops thread and how that will be sort of disseminated. But that will be up tomorrow on FightfulSelect.com. I thought this was a perfect women's triple threat, and it really played up the story of Io had been disregarded. I think this was a big step in telling the general audience Io is on their level.
Yes.
As far as perception, and everybody who watched her wrestle knew that. It's really just booking as far as Bianca and Rhea and getting her on that level.
And the crowd shocked me too, as this entire build kept going with just how over Io was getting every time she got pie-faced and would start fighting back. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I was one of the original horsewomen advocates and quite frankly marks that just absolutely loved them. And then Bianca and Rhea came in, and you go, okay, there's the next generation. And you kind of thought, well, that's it. Those two are just going to get all the big wins from now on in the women's division until somebody makes their way in here. But now they're starting to fold in Io. And I think Lyra is also a candidate for eventually possibly getting a big win at a WrestleMania next year. Time moves on, and the evolution of women's wrestling is absolutely fantastic, and it's in every company, and I'm here for it because it makes the cards far more interesting. I would have loved Chelsea Green to get on here. I would have loved Bayley and Roxanne to have been on this card. I think I agree with you. Those were both huge missteps in my opinion, but getting this helps ease some of the pain of the other stuff, because this thing was absolutely fantastic.
You want to talk about people who deserve it as well? Nia Jax did the best work of her career last year.
Nia did the best work.
It was nowhere to be found on these shows. It's very disappointing to see. We've got Tim saying, overall, this is one of the weakest WrestleManias. Kind of sad that your developmental brand put on a better show. Listen, you got to understand, I watched some of the 90s and the late 80s, like those WrestleManias. There were some real bad WrestleManias.
Mid to late 80s WrestleManias.
Oh,
I mean,
so
WrestleMania 4
bad.
was nothing to write home about, trust me. WrestleMania 9 stunk up the joint for the most part, if you recall.
I had
that
people
one.
arguing with me because I watched that WrestleMania 9 documentary that I thought was very good. And the super fan was like, oh, man, there are some matches on there that nobody talks about that are really good. And I'm like, no, the head shrinkers and the Steiners. That's it.
That's it.
Very unsatisfactory. That's it. Everything
I just rewatched that match too, and it's still a great match to have. But those two had been working with each other in WCW for years, so you expect them to be good.
And man, again, you guys, if you all go back and you watch those mid to late 80s WrestleManias, you're going to be like, wait, they did a count out and then a DQ and then a no contest and a count out, then a no DQ or then a DQ. It's so unsatisfying to watch.
Mania 2 is kind of unsatisfying to watch at times. Mania 4, unsatisfying to watch. I mean, all of these are just meh.
I am Crush as WTF, hashtag watch DPW. We've got, actually, I'm going to ask Luis, please apply the super chats to the appropriate matches. That way we can streamline things. We have Black Phoenix Brand saying, Bianca taking the pin is right behind Fiend Seth and Hell in a Cell 19, or Hell in a Cell, and then Booker 8 Triple H in Mania 19 is the worst booking decisions in WWE history. They fumbled on the 1 yard line with the finish. My friend, like, I would have had Rhea get pinned, but I cannot put these anywhere on the same continent as Triple H Booker T Mania 19 or Fiend Rollins at Hell in a Cell. I can't.
You can love Bianca, and you could say that maybe this is because all year she's kind of been stuck in this tag team division, and she wasn't really super pushed until she got into the Elimination Chamber match. So it's one of those things where it's like, maybe we do something with her this year, starting tomorrow on Raw or Friday on SmackDown. This was fine. I don't understand. This was not Seth Rollins and The Fiend. Do not ever bring up that match and this match in the same company ever again. Booker T and Triple H was just malpractice in every sense of the word. I can't
during the midst of one of the most dreadful title runs and reigns ever. Literally, Booker T winning it and then losing it back a week later would have been an infinitely better decision than what they did.
You're going to be that racially insensitive and not give the guy the win.
Yeah.
No.
Next match, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre. BetOnline AG had Drew McIntyre as the favorite. Fightful also had him as one of the safest picks as a result of Damian Priest won a bunch of these matches last year. One of the members of Slayer, as FightfulSelect.com had reported, played out Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre came out with, I don't understand some of these references. I know a lot of them are branded, and again, this is a thing that when I reported last week, hey guys, they're leaning heavily into the branding. People are like, yeah, of course they are. And I'm like, no, it's not. Of course they are. Like, I mean, like really. But no DQ. This is one of the matches I was looking most forward to. And there were a few spots that really stood out in this match. The throwing the chairs, but Drew McIntyre making the tweet an annual thing. And then it immediately, not eclipsing, immediately crushing last year's numbers was pretty impressive. But I loved the finish here, like the old school, which he does the thing that everybody's like, just knock him off, and through tables, and then the filthiest Claymore that I have ever seen in my entire life, Jeff, into a chair.
Yeah, to complete your thought, both second matches had video game branding, and I believe Drew was dressed as a character from this Doom game that was coming out. Yeah, after you get over the goofiness of that. Although I did think during Damian Priest's entrance that the guitarist from Slayer was supposed to give him a hand signal back because he kept throwing cymbals to him. And the guy just kept playing along, and he's shredding, and they're like,
he's busy. He's busy, bro.
I think he's waiting for you to point back at him to give the rub there. And it's like, it never came, so I just kept laughing. That Priest kept doing that. But yeah, Chekhov's double tables set up, and I'm with you. I love just shoving him off during old school. That was so great.
I saw that and I was like, how are they going to get to this? And then I saw that and I was like, that's perfect. Psychologically, the thing you should do.
I liked the choke slam in the midst of getting your neck pillmanized. I thought that was fun. That was a fun spot. Yeah, I think overall, I think my own nitpick, and this is me being old school Jeff from the 80s, if you're doing a street fight, you shouldn't be wearing wrestling gear.
So I got to put over the former Elijah Burke, the Pope D'Angelo De Niro, because rarely do you ever hear somebody explain things like that. And I remember on an episode of TNA, he said, well, the reason why wrestlers don't usually wear their gear in street fights is because your gear is expensive and you're going to ruin it. The only reason I give it an excuse for this one is because I would say about 90% of the people wearing their gear this time aren't ever going to wear this gear again.
No, that's very, very true.
They got it for one night and they got it for that special appearance. That's actually something I thought of during the match. And I was like, okay, well, if they're going to use this one time, no problem.
And it was during this match, during the commentary, where I just kind of noticed Pat McAfee must have had some of the good shit right before they went on the air.
Oh, boy.
Because he was on one during this match.
He was. Blue Bear says, is Damian Priest okay? Didn't see anything after he said he couldn't breathe and cameras cut off from him. This is one of those things where I always send a message and I hit up WWE and I'm like, are they okay? And what they will generally do is not answer me until after the presser. And then if it doesn't get answered at the presser, they'll give me an answer. So
yeah,
I will work to find out. Priest, wonderful guy, lovely fella. Justified Heroes.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, it was kind of amazing when he got signed that everybody said, Punisher Martinez, too old, 38. Here we are. And the dude's killing it.
I could tell he was going to work during that ROH run. I was just like, man, this is going to work. This is going to work really well for him.
He is such a good walk-in brawler. I
Yes, he is.
absolutely love every time he does one of these matches.
Absolutely. Damian Priest, again, he was the underdog. Fightful Select and BetOnline AG had Drew McIntyre favored to win that. Daniel Brown says, best women's match I've ever seen at Mania, possibly ever. I personally would put Bianca and Sasha ahead. I love that as a
It's
main
close.
event as well. It's very close. There's a number of them that are right up there, but like Bianca, I've referred to her as Mrs. WrestleMania after the second one she did, and I'm like, she has done nothing to make me feel otherwise. And Rhea is right up there with her as well, with these absolutely killer matches. And
I mean, Rhea and Charlotte was nothing to sneeze at either. I mean, that thing was
incredible.
great.
Yeah. Jambeard says, sorry, but pinning Bianca was the right choice. For me, she was the third wheel, as I don't think she should have won Elimination Chamber. She should have been in the Jade Naomi story instead. Well, there's still time for her to do the Jade Naomi story because, as you mentioned, like maybe she's in cahoots. Maybe there's a little something there. But I don't mind Bianca getting pinned. I would have went with Rhea just so you can continue the never been pinned. But I'm not like hating on it. The match was perfect. It was perfect.
And I think it's one of those things where EO pinned Rhea for the title.
Sure.
So now she pins the other person, and it's fair that way.
We had a 4-way. And, sometimes, Jeff, in 4-ways, things will dissolve. Things don't go as planned, especially when your friends are involved. Maybe you get nervous. Maybe you get anxious. Maybe you'll get a little bit aggressive, and you don't like that. And it really throws you off. Well, BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL is here to help. You may say, how is that? Well, listen, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's a tag team match, whether it's a handicap match, whatever.
Fatal 4-way?
Fatal 4-way. Maybe you're going through some tables. BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL gives you the confidence to have that main event level performance. You won't feel like a mid-carder when you use Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL because it's got the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but it's in a chewable. So it works on your schedule, or really not on your schedule as well, because it gets you going. You might say, now, Sean, it's a little embarrassing to talk about something like that. Well, guess what? You don't really have to. You get prescribed online after meeting with an online physician, and then you don't have to go to the pharmacy, go to the doctor's office, wait in line, have that nosy woman at the pharmacy, especially if you're in a small town, that nosy woman at the pharmacy who would be like, guess what Jeff's getting? Guess what Jeff's getting? And then, you know what happened? The cashier would be like, Jeff's getting his thing on, is what the cashier would say. And she would go, buzz off, Nelly. And they would get into it. They would be into it. But listen, you can circumvent all that. You can avoid all that because this ships straight to your door. Now, listen, the mailman might eventually find out what's going on. And I'm going to tell you why. It comes in a discreet package, but there is going to be nothing discreet about your package after you use Blue Chew. And one day that mailman's going to be delivering news and he's going to hear things going on in there. And that mailman's going to go, what is going on? I'd like to find out about that. Next thing you know, mailman's taking a little bit of extra time dropping off your mail. Come out, you pick it up, you've got that delivery, and he goes, hey, what's in the package? And by then, you're not going to be ashamed. You're going to be like, it's Blue Chew. I know you heard. What's up? And that mailman's going to look at you and be like, can I get a special delivery? He's going to look at you like that. He's going to bite his lip. And then you're going to say, I don't know. Do you mind if I drop it off at your back door? And that mailman's going to go, yeah, probably. Where else? And you're going to say, great, because I've got Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL. And this first shipment was free. Because they're so confident in that product. Now, that mailman, it's going to change that mailman's life. It's going to change your life. It's going to change everybody's life. Who knows? Your mailman might bring a friend. Like I telling other people at the post office. Next thing you know, the post office is rolling in there. It's a fatal 4-way. You got a little Royal Rumble, a little Battle Royale. you're wearing your fancy gear for that one time a year, BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL, my friends. I'm telling you, it's what you want to do. So, Jeff,
Yes.
Dominik Mysterio is the Intercontinental Champion. This was probably my second pick. I thought Finn Balor was going to do it, but I knew it was going to come down to Dominik and Finn Balor and all that. But this was truly a showcase for Bron Breakker doing cool shit, quite frankly. That's what this was. This was to introduce to the worldwide audience, here is Bron Breakker, and here is him doing very cool stuff, like just turning himself into a missile midair and just slamming people. He didn't do a double suplex, Jeff. He did a suplex with one arm and a brain buster with the other arm. The happiest accident of all time. He spears Carlito through one of the announce tables, which I got to put over Wade Barrett, because the one part that didn't collapse afterwards, Wade Barrett like banged on it and showed that it was metal. Very clever.
Yes. Yes.
But this was largely to highlight Bron Breakker. How'd you feel about this match?
I enjoyed the hell out of this match because it hit all the notes it had to hit. Yeah, Bron's going to be the big star coming out of this, obviously, on to bigger and better things. Still want him to be named Steiner, but I'm never going to win that fight, so I'll give up on it. But
that was his decision, he claims.
The second purpose of this match was to get Penta over as well, and Penta got to do plenty of his cool stuff here. Got to do his big entrance. Got to look cool. Got to do his catchphrases in front of a big ass stadium. So, got over. And then the third thing was, of course, the story between Finn and Dom within the Judgment Day and do that. Yeah, I loved Dom's heelishness. I loved the anticipation of doing a move on Finn and how the crowd just absolutely came to life when they saw that moment. That was great. I loved in the precursor to the match, the little moments on commentary where Dom couldn't get his mask off. And Wade said, it's supposed to be hard to get off. And then Michael Cole, not missing a beat when Finn comes out, goes, so what's the significance of Finn Balor's mask then? And Wade just goes, I think it has eye holes in it.
Wade Barrett, underrated for his comedic. That's something I wish we could have seen more during his wrestling run is some comedic elements there. But one complaint I have about this match was the same complaint I had about night one. Did the producers and agents get together? It was the same finish that we saw 20 minutes prior. Now, I love this finish. I think it fit very well in both spots. But also, it's like I probably would have switched nights. I would have switched one of the moonsault nights or one of the moonsault matches for this night one to night two. I would have swapped this with the U.S. title probably.
Yeah, and I also, you had a great note during the women's three-way that Rhea did the Razor's Edge because of her connection with Damian Priest. I wish they had put that over on commentary a little bit more because, McAfee and his rush to do his Razor Ramon impression makes you think that it was just them doing the same move in two different matches and there not being any communication there either. Yeah. So, I agree with you on that point, but this was the right ending for me. Dominik pinning Finn and Dominik in this post match was also just kind of wagging the belt at Finn like it was a penis and then leaving the ring cocky. I love that the commentary also looked at Dom and goes, he's been working out. He has. He's been getting his body in much better shape. And I think I do agree with you. We're eventually going to have to turn this guy babyface so that we can finally cheer him. But for right now, it's still fun to boo him. Dude Wipes as the sponsor of this match was absolutely perfect too.
DNC Digital says Mysterios are the first father and son to win the IC title at Mania. He had also sent along to me Rikishi and Jey Uso, and then Mr. Perfect and Curtis Axel won the IC title in general.
Yes.
Now, Daniel Brown says Dirty Dom deserves this, period, the end. I kind of feel like the slow build to the Dom turn and winning an IC title from Finn could have been good, but I'm very interested to see where the creative goes from here, because I've just been ready for the love to love Dominik era. Because, Jeff, there is everybody does the Three Amigos now. Everybody does a damn frog splash. Everybody does the shimmy. There is one wrestler that can get away with completely ripping off Eddie Guerrero's gimmick and everybody going, it's okay. And it's Dominik Mysterio.
Yes.
And it is an all-time great gimmick. The lovable cheater is the only person. And he, dare I say, he is much more perfect for it than even Eddie Guerrero was. He's better for it than Chavo Guerrero was because of his physical stature and, you know, how he came up in wrestling, his connection to them. It is such a perfect fit, and I hope he does it. It is so tailor-made for him specifically.
I don't think anybody would mind if they gave him Lie, Cheat, and Steal.
Yeah. I would love it.
I also just want to go back and just praise Carlito, who at 46 years old is dying for our pleasure every week with this maniac Bron running at him full speed. Those are bumps that at that age, they hurt a lot more in the morning.
Jeff, you better believe it, because when I did my match with Shaza, my ass took one bump. One bump. I went and trained, and I ended up in a low boy ring, and I took my first bump, and I said, not going to do many of those in my match. But I'm
not leaving my feet, brother. I'm going to work like a big man.
Carlito spoke with Joel Pearl, and he's like, I know my prime is over. I know I don't have it as well as I did in the ring. I'm okay with that. I can be useful. And people say, why isn't he wrestling? Why isn't he having matches? He doesn't need to have matches.
Doesn't need to have matches. Just needs to die every week.
And a gentleman we'll speak about later, Karrion Kross, doesn't need to have matches all the time. And as we have found out, he can be a good supporting player. I'm glad WWE is leaning more back into the supporting players, because for a long time, Vince would not put you on TV if you did not wrestle, or if you did, like, he got rid of every manager that wasn't Paul Heyman.
Yes. Yeah. And that was, I mean, managers were there for a reason. I mean, we don't have as many promos as we used to, but managers were there to speak for guys who couldn't speak for the most part. And they were, you know, they were there to get heat. They were fantastic. Every manager had a different personality. And it was fantastic. It's what made wrestling. But Vince hated tag teams. Why am I paying two guys when I should be able to pay them once because they're the same act and they're only wrestling one match, kind of thing. So we're getting back to things that, I mean, and Triple H was a Jim Crockett guy for the most part. So, I mean, he appreciates the old school stuff. He appreciates tag team wrestling. He appreciates managers. I'm here for it.
Luis brings up, our wonderful moderator, by the way, says Dominik had a Rey Mysterio senior tribute mask. That is very cool.
Yes.
Call Me Crazy says in a year, Dom will be the world heavyweight or WWE champ. I would take that not happening in Bet Online odds. I don't think that is going to happen within a year.
Not within a year, but within 5, he's going to win Money in the Bank. And he's going to cash in. Now, I don't know if he wins or not, but he's going to win Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to groan as he comes down to cash it in.
Love for Boost says, did I miss when fans started cheering for Dom Mysterio? They were soccer chanting Dirty Dom and pop for his win. I didn't hear anyone booing. They were all about him in this show. It felt like these people came to enjoy the performers they enjoy watching. And the tide has shifted on Dominik Mysterio. He was completely out of his depth 4 years ago. He was not ready for that spot, and they put him in a sink or swim situation. And what I really admire about Dominik, Jeff, is you would always hear Paul Heyman say, accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. He had no positives to accentuate. So they just accentuated all of his negatives, and then he got better to the point to where he was just good. And
Come
I
on,
admire that.
That garbage mullet and that terrible mustache are accentuated positives that they do
He is
for
so
him.
self-aware. He is
Yes.
so self-aware, and I love watching this guy. Love watching this guy.
On the crowd, this was kind of a crowd here for the irony tonight. Just a little bit. I mean, they
Yeah.
cheered Cena quite heavily too. It's one of those things where if you're a bad guy and you have a certain amount of charm to you, this Mania crowd will put you over during the match.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you who didn't get put over tonight. Joe Hendry. Listen, first off, FightfulSelect.com had news today. We asked about Aleister Black. We were told, nope, he is going to be on SmackDown. Not going to be there tonight. I asked about Rusev. We were told he's not even going to be in the building tonight. And then about 2 minutes before he popped up over in the Fightful Select Discord, you boys at Fightful Select broke the news that Joe Hendry, still under TNA contract, deal up within the year or within 12 months. He was approached around the time that Kevin Owens revealed that he was going to be out of the match. And TNA found out that it was a for sure thing yesterday. And he appears. And it was an appearance. There were some fun spots. There were not many spots that made Joe Hendry look great or strong or anything like that. This was hey, we can bring in this TNA guy and Randy Orton can RKO him a bunch of times and he can take his pose and do all that stuff. Good for Joe Hendry getting a WrestleMania moment, I guess. Kim says it's the best part. Dante says, why would TNA let their champ lose like this? Well, I'll tell you more about that momentarily because FightfulSelect.com had another piece of news. But Jeff, how did you feel about this?
A little mixed. I had said when Nick Aldis was possibly going to be there, I'm like, well, but this crowd won't know any of Nick Aldis's movesets and they won't be able to do anything. But the point of this was not to do a match. The point of this, I was about to come on and ask you, how does WWE feel about Joe Hendry? Because
like him.
Yeah,
they like him.
I think they like him. But
I mean, I can tell you specifically what I hear from people is that they like that he's a professional and he doesn't mind doing stuff like this.
Right.
He doesn't mind putting people over. He doesn't have an ego about him or anything like that. And Joel Pearl spoke with him this week. By the way, guys, check out that interview. Tag says, this is me buying a Humper Chat because you mentioned Joe Hendry being Orton's opponent in the Discord. Indeed, guys, Fightful Selects Discord. If I don't have time to write an article, I run over to that Discord and I give a spoiler warning and then I type that in. That's what I did. But I don't want to say, no, sorry. I don't want to use the term cucked here because first off, it's such a lame ass term. But like, listen, Joe Hendry's on WrestleMania.
Yes.
That is a net positive.
Yes.
Joe Hendry has had a guano crazy year. Shout outs to that guy for what he has done over the last year. It's incredible. The buzz he's gotten himself, the buzz he's gotten TNA. Now there was a situation where he was supposed to be on the Glasgow Raw. And a lot of people thought, oh, well, he's going to team with Jay or something like that. No.
Right.
He was going to lose to The Miz. So it's going to happen. And Ariel, who ended up getting fired by TNA, was like, you ain't doing that shit. Yeah. Not our guy, not our TNA world champion. He ain't putting over The Miz. And they didn't end up doing it. And they ended up going with Ethan Page coming over, which from a entertaining story perspective, probably better. I do think that people generally maybe underestimate The Miz and his level of fame compared to TNA at this stage. But like, if you want The Miz that bad enough on TNA, what's to keep you guys from just asking for The Miz on TNA? Tin Ruzis says they bent TNA over and had their way with it. Yeah, they really have. That's what's happened a lot. They have.
Joe Hendry has a WrestleMania t-shirt.
Yeah, good for he was at WWE World. I mean,
Here's
off,
what
whoever's managing him doing a hell of a job. Like,
yes,
doing a great job.
I might have just done some crass commercialism here. Sure, Orton's going to be able, because Orton's RKO has the ability to absolutely kill what makes you special. We especially with high flyers. Whenever I had this theory that if you get RKO'd out of a big move off the top rope, you have about 2 or 3 weeks to figure out how to get your character some heat back, or you're dead in the water. Ricochet, Evan Bourne, people like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved Randy Orton, especially if you're going to do the second RKO. Before you do that, cut a little promo, say, let's give it up for Joe Hendry, go to the merch stands and go buy his t-shirt.
Yeah.
Nobody
do
else
the pose with him.
Yes. Nobody had the balls to come out here, and he did. Make him a little bit extra money, give him a little shine back, and then you can RKO him again. Because,
do the pose with him, then hit the RKO.
Yes. But
I mean, listen, I enjoyed what I saw. Like, I
wanted a little more out of Joe Hendry. I agree with the commenter
too.
who said that. I mean, make us think he might win. That's all I wanted.
Yeah,
and
I didn't
didn't
think he was
do
going
that.
to win.
No, I didn't think he was going to win.
Joe Hendry.
But make us think that he has a shot at it. I mean, he did the roll up, and that was it.
I've watched enough TNA and WWE stuff to know that his ass ain't winning. FightfulSelect.com's betting had Randy Orton as the favorite over whoever he faced. BetOnline AG did as well. But that wasn't it. Our safe bet. We didn't have any lock picks, but one of our safe bets. Also, I just want to say Randy's throwback gear to his original gear. Loved it. Loved that reference. I thought that was really, really cool. But our safe bet was Logan Paul over AJ Styles. And I have people saying, really? Really? Yeah, really? Yeah. Logan Paul is getting paid a ton of money. AJ Styles has 25 years behind him and maybe a couple ahead of him. This match had some drone shots, and you had, honestly, like Logan Paul in a rare situation where he athletically was carrying a match with AJ Styles, which is not something that happens often. Now, there's some stuff I like that lion salt all the way across the ring. Good God. The alley-oop bomb, loved that. I actually liked the idea of him going big boot leg drop, and then he does a nutsack drop instead. There's no way that hurts your opponent more than you, Jeff. He's dropping his ball sack right down onto a jack ripped vascular man. Just, I don't get it. Psychologically, it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's like being a gamer and you get the kill, and then you go over there and you ball sack
teabag
the guy while it teabag him.
A splits leg drop. It never made any sense to me for a guy. Balls. I loved the alternating styles clashes. Thought that was good. But my favorite part of this match wasn't even a move. It was Karrion Kross popping up out of nowhere and saying, AJ, you need to hit him with the brass knuckles. You got to put him away. You got to do this. And Kross, honestly, getting a little bit over as a babyface, helping AJ, because people are starting to really like Karrion Kross. And AJ doesn't do it. And as a result, he loses. Logan's finisher is incredible. Love it. This match was fine. Had great spots in it. Wasn't that interested in it. Yeah. Crowd wasn't that interested in it. There was a real lack of build or emotion or anything into this match. If this match was on WWE Monday Night Raw, I'd be like, hell yeah, that's a fun one. But as far as WrestleMania, I was like, it's fine. It's okay. Nothing terrible. Yeah.
I hope in the behind the scenes documentary, there's a meeting between AJ and Logan where they look at each other and they go to each other and go, aren't you glad we're not the two that are in the news about saying dumb things to journalists this week? Man. This was possibly my most anticipated match, and it did not live up to it. It was good, but I was hoping it would be great. I think we forget how great AJ Styles has been within the WWE system sometimes, because he was a very good wrestler, and everybody kind of did the whole thing of what he needs to learn how to find the hard cam.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't realize how good AJ became with his character in the WWE until you start watching some of his Ring of Honor and TNA stuff, and how he really put it all together, and how kind of, as they say in football, the game slowed down for him when he came to WWE. I will say this. I do not ever want to have a beverage or anything with either Logan Paul or AJ Styles necessarily, but Logan Paul is...
What's that?
Yeah, I don't want to talk anything about, but Logan Paul isn't one of my favorite people, but he is one of my favorite wrestlers.
Listen,
that's the weird thing.
Yeah.
He gets it. He gets heel heat. He gets his athleticism is freaking insane, and his work is crisp. And I don't think he gets enough credit for it. And I keep doing everybody,
agree.
And people on like the Voices of Wrestling just, you Homer, WWE, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, you don't get it. You watch this guy and he's fantastic. And he's fantastic at being a jerk. And there's a special quality to people who can be natural jerks and get heat in wrestling without being liked. And Logan Paul has it. Now, look, we need to stop trashing people named Jeff on WWE.
Listen,
we're not...
Also, Fightful alumni Shane Helms is usually the man behind these Logan Paul matches, constructing them, saying this is what you do, this is when you do it. I'm just saying, he's done some pretty great stuff. You got Will Washington, Fightful alumni, who wrote the feud and storyline of the year in the Fightful Awards. Listen, Deonna Purrazzo wrote one article for Fightful and won like 15 championships like within the next few years. All I'm saying, guys, is that Jeff Hawkins is going to show up and stuff you in a locker if you are mean to me ever again. And there's nothing you can do about it. Tin Ruzes says AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Bayley to AEW, please. I asked Carl Anderson, do you think that AJ will leave? He's like, yeah, I think he'll probably be a Fed guy forever, is what he said.
Shout out to Michael Cole for not being able to get out buckshot lariat. He's like, that was a springboard, clothesline, lariat.
I mean, they'll call it a lion salt, though.
Yes.
Which, Yoff Gator says, what are the chances AJ finishes 2025 in WWE? I'm going to say about 60%. He seems to like WWE an awful lot. He has, listen, I love AJ Styles' art. AJ, Daniels, and Joe to this day is my favorite match that I think I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Especially like with time and all that. But he doesn't strike me as a guy that's like, oh, well, I need my art. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't strike me as one of those guys anymore. He's had that. I don't think that he feels like he needs AEW.
Big house and kids. You gotta pay him, he'll go. If you pay him, he'll go, and he'll give your bangers with Ospreay and Omega, and he'll be fine doing it. I think it's like, okay. And here's the thing is, like, neither company has a tough road schedule anymore. So, if he wants to go back to the star rating critical acclaim, he can. He's done he's done everything he's going to do in terms of, upper echelon feuds and whatnot in WWE. He'd be fine going to AEW right now. Either way, he's going to be good. He could go to Japan if he wanted to and revitalize New Japan.
He can go literally anywhere he wants, and people will want him there. Like, that's love. And
he'd be a net positive anywhere too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he'd bring in Anderson and Gallows, and that net
and then it would just crap.
I say that with love to those fellas. Love for Boost says Pat McAfee said buckshot lariat.
Yeah, yes. Okay.
And Zach says really didn't like Cole defending Logan Paul, saying so hard, saying the fans are jealous. He's a heel, probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, I would I would lean out of that. I mean, my problem with Logan Paul is it feels like he's got a different gimmick approach every week. One week it was, I'm humble. And I've mentioned on here, like, all right, I did that gimmick with Melissa on Listing Your Boy, feuding with her years ago. It's not a hard one to do, but like, stick with it. Because the next week it's like, LOL, you guys are poor. Then it's, you guys are jealous of me. And then it's, AJ's washed up. There's no real tone that is consistent there. Besides, he's an asshole, which is okay, but he really leans into one thing really hard each week, and it's a little bit different. But
yeah, and it should be one thing every year if you're gonna do that. Like I liked selfless promoter Logan Paul, where it's just nothing about promoting, it's just promoting Prime all over the place, and that's all he was doing in that feud with Seth. I thought that was really good.
I wish we got the third year in a row Prime mascot spot. Like, I like that to be a consistent thing, and Cross to have taken that out. But
I Show Speed took enough of a bump, didn't he?
Yes. Tin Ruza sends in a super chat, says it's great for Joe Hendry, not the TNA brand. Sorry. You know what? That is something I completely agree with. I do. I'll tell you what's good for our brand, guys. Follow us on TikTok. We have just signed a deal with them. We'll be doing more lives over there. Kate's going to be doing some video hits. We're going to have a bunch of reels over there. But we've also got Instagram, Facebook. I am debunking fake news on Facebook so much. It is so fun. I just love it. I love it. I love finding this AI bullshit that gets put on Facebook. And just not true. Not true. No, this is not a picture of Kevin Owens in a hospital gown. It isn't accurate. Check us out over there, guys. And also, of course, you subscribe to us here on YouTube. Oh boy. So I got lots of mixed feelings on the next match. As Triple H says, don't worry, guys. Bayley will be just fine. True pro. Cannot say enough good things about her. True pro. Well, I'll tell you what I would do with a true pro that I didn't have enough nice things to say about. I would have them in a feud at WrestleMania and not being attack fodder. Now, listen, I'm sure there's a storyline to emerge from this, but as we saw, there was no reason to not have Bayley versus Roxanne Perez on this show tonight, Jeff. There was no reason they should not have debuted Roxanne as the palette swap version of Bayley, and Bayley to be like, listen, I'm not dumb. I watch TV. I've seen Tony and Mariah. I've seen Mickey and Trish. I'm not stupid. I see what's going on here. Like, you're not going to fool me. And the only time she should ever get fooled by that is by Izzy. Literally by Izzy. When Izzy pops up. But woof. Poor Bayley, man.
Bayley's strength and her weakness is that she will take this and be a pro about it. And she will go on her merry way, and she will continue to be a pro. I've seen a lot of people, she should walk out. These things happen. And it's one of those things where Becky's stardom eclipses Bayley's great work ethic in terms of coming in, keeping your mouth shut, doing the thing, kind of. Look, this happens. This happens in all show business. Stars get preferential treatment. You hate to see it, but it's true. It's just I would have never brought up Roxanne in any capacity if I knew that she wasn't going to be on WrestleMania, and I certainly wouldn't have had her go up against Tiffany Stratton and take a loss before she's quote unquote officially part of the roster. I thought that was ridiculous.
It is a mindlessly booked entire set of divisions, almost all of them. There is rarely any consistency with the Triple H booking of these women's divisions. There is no reason Chelsea Green should not have defended her championship, even in Nia Jax squashing her and winning the U.S. title or something like that, or anything like that. Becky and Lyra should have probably been facing one another, or Lyra should have had the IC title on Roxanne, or there were a million different ways you could have adjusted this to make these work. But Chelsea Green should have been on this show. Bayley should have faced Roxanne on this show. And if you had to do Becky and Lyra in this spot, I am just so disappointed in the direction. And from what I had been told around January on FightfulSelect.com, that was an issue that Becky had as well, where she was like, I want more good stories for the women. Yeah. I want more satisfying stories for the women. Where are they? And Jade and Naomi did get that. They absolutely got that, and they killed it. And they showed you why they should get that. And here's the thing, Jeff. Michin and Chelsea Green did that last year as well, to the point to where WWE said, okay, let's bring in these titles. And then what did they do? They put them together like 72 times to the point to where I don't ever want to see them in the same room again. It is so frustrating to see that and disappointing. BetOnline AG had Lyra and Bayley, I believe, as favorites, but Becky Lynch returns.
Yeah, and you also think, and you also remember that quote unquote Bayley had her moment last year in the match with Io, where she wins the title. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, you could make the case somewhere in the halls of WWE in Stamford that they would say, well, she had her moment last year. She won't mind sitting out this year. Although then you think about when she was at her hottest. When she first became Aunt Pam, they had her host WrestleMania in Orlando and do a bunch of vignettes when that character was a heat magnet with the ding dong hello stuff and whatnot. So yeah, they mistime these things. I think they think sometimes you can only have 2 real stars in the division, and everybody else is kind of people you swap in and out, or people who get hot and you use those people to go up against your stars.
They never have anybody ready, Jeff, in the women's division.
And it's a 2-week heat up. That's all it is, really.
Yeah. And it was a concern that I had expressed long before this. They go, oh, we're going to Scotland. Piper Niven, you get a shot. Oh, we're going to Puerto Rico. Zelina, you get a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens a lot. And then you get so much of that. And oh my God, anytime I say that on Twitter, I try to not complain on Twitter. I try to make them come to the show and listen to me do it. That way they can't just dunk on that and screenshot that like those weirdos do. But there's always, what about AEW? I don't like it when they do that shit either. I hate it when they do that shit too. Drives me nuts.
AEW only recently got out of the doldrums of having 1 match on a 2-hour show per week and 1 feud that you could only do because reasons, and the ratings would drop and everybody would go, oh, it's an hour 20 into the show. Time for the women's spot.
What's usually the lowest rated quarter hour on an AEW Dynamite, Jeff? The main event. Usually the main event. And they've been like, all right, here you go. Here's some main events, sink or swim. Rise these numbers. And they've gotten that opportunity. It's made them look a lot better. But in WWE, they never have anybody ready. And I say never. Somebody will take that literally, rarely. And when they instituted the IC and US title, I had a real concern about them doing that. And what did we see? Neither champion defending their title. And what have we seen over on Raw? We have seen Dakota Kai lose the finals of the tournament, then immediately win a top contendership match to get another shot, lose it. Then who did she beat? She beat Ivy Nile.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Ivy Nile gets a title shot. What did she do to earn that? They didn't have her win a match. They had her attack somebody. Okay, if that's how, why isn't everybody just attacking the champion? I'd said this stuff. I think Brian Cage did this a while back too in AEW. And I was like, why doesn't everybody just beat up the TNT champion then?
Yeah,
then
no,
we had
a
situation.
You're right.
Oh,
hold on.
I'm not done, Jeff.
Okay,
hold on. Then Bayley loses a top contendership match, doesn't wrestle for weeks. And they put her in a top contendership match. Then Jeff, after that, they go, oh, yeah, even though you and this woman have never teamed together before, we're going to put you in another top contendership match for the tag titles. And then they had him beat the whole division, the whole goddamn division. So now
in one night.
nobody looks good.
Oh,
Nobody looks good.
It's worse than that because you forget during the women's Royal Rumble they had Ivy Nile eliminate Lyra.
And that would have been okay for me.
But then they moved to the number one contenders match, which was Dakota and Ivy, and they had Dakota win it over Ivy.
Yes.
Ivy then circumvents that to attack the champ, still gets the contenders match.
Yes, it drove me nuts. I'm like, you know what? Eliminating the champion from the Royal Rumble that's justification for me. For a mid-card title shot, hell yeah, do that. I'm here for that. The being eliminated from the Royal Rumble should be a thing that people say, I want to get that back from somebody. But
I would have minded one mid-card women's title. I think between the two shows would have been a better idea because now it's like one title for 6 people, and that's fine. But again, if you there's this weird thing with titles in WWE, and they used to do this with the tag team titles too, and it drove me nuts. Where it's like, well, the title's enough, and it's a thing. It's like, no. The title needs to mean something, and it needs to have strongly built characters around it and strongly built feuds around it. Nobody, was it when the Riot Squad won their titles or whatever, and they got them tattooed, and everybody just kind of laughed at them, but it meant the world to the people doing that. It's like, no, you need to build interesting stories. I mean, you can't just concentrate on the top of the card. You have to concentrate especially on the middle and bottom of the card so that when you're done with those top of the card stories, you can then elevate those other stories and it becomes cyclical.
Well, I'm very happy Becky Lynch is back. One of my favorite performers. It only helps the division. I loved Lyra's gear. She was very excited for it. I got to say, Lyra with the Valkyries, the Valkyrie calling in the entrance. That's dope. That is incredible. I love that. Every time she got hit in the ring, Jeff, she looked like Randy Johnson hitting a bird with a fastball. Those feathers were flying everywhere. The match was fine. I think so many people were more overtaken with, so they're really doing this to Bayley than what happened with the match. And Tin Ruza says, Jeff, these things keep happening to Bayley.
Yeah, I know. I can't. Sometimes you just have to be the one to take action. There's nothing I can say to do anything about it. If she wants to play hardball with the company, I'm all for it. Also, no, I mean, like, I like Becky Lynch a lot. I do think the man character sometimes overpowers things to the point where it's like like where Stone Cold, where it's like he could never show ass. It's kind of the same with the man with me. And I'm just kind of like, okay, fine. Let's see a different twist to this. I'd love her to be the one who attacked Bayley, but I still think it's going to be Roxanne for some dumbass reason.
Yeah.
But what this also did, and now we need to talk about the other half of the equation, is that we in the wrestling commentary, and even though we do put it over sometimes, we don't give enough credit to improvement over time because these people are on TV week after week. So incremental improvement turns into great improvement. And how did I forget her name all of a sudden? Oh, the tag champs, Liv.
Yeah,
Liv Morgan is killing it this past year.
She is.
She deserved to have a huge entrance at this WrestleMania for the work she's done this past year. I love this team. And I think Raquel Rodriguez settling in. I mean, she's been the heavy. She was a heavy for Dakota, and it was fine. But here, she has a weird, great personality that goes along with it. And I love this team.
Oh, she's such a lovely person. Like, it's funny because when she debuted as a babyface on the main roster, people are like, oh, she needs to be a monster. She needs to be that. I'm like, guys, y'all don't know her. This is how she is. She's smiley and lovely. That's it. Like, she's
people who are nice sometimes
person.
can't bring on the meanness even on camera and act. It's something that they can't reach. Just like naturally miserable people can't act happy sometimes. So you don't want to necessarily put them in that position. But I love this team, and I've just Liv Morgan, just especially in that elimination chamber match. You're just watching her, you're going, man, remember when people just used to just say, "Oh, she's just that pretty girl from Jersey who can't work or whatever," and you watch her now and
From the
like
Franco's gym, yeah.
she's freaking phenomenal. I love her. This match was okay. I
It
guess
was
you could
alright.
see that Becky hadn't been in the ring for a while, and it showed. Um, Lyra was very good, but it's also one of those things where Becky, being the special guest star, overshadows Lyra, and
Lyra's a
now
machine, man. She's a
she
machine.
has improved too. Because I'm one of those. I'm one of 6 people who watched NXT UK week after week after week after week, and Chris and I, my co-host on my other show, loved NXT UK. It
Yeah.
had gradual development and great feuds and gave people time to build those feuds and learn from that. And we were a little shocked when Lyra was kept on and brought over. And now you watch and
Yeah.
go, oh, we were wrong. We missed something about them, about her that they saw and we didn't. Because I hated the bird character for a long time and the
It's
feather and
working
stuff like that.
now. Oh, it's
But it
working
works.
so good
She
now.
has the woo. She has the crowd doing the woo thing. She has
Yeah.
commentary doing the woo thing. She can come out in a ridiculous Condor Man looking costume like she did tonight, and it's over. And it's like, that's all you need, really. And she's gonna be fine.
She is built like if you suplexed her, she would stand up first. Like, like she would just bounce off the ground and stand up and look at you. Like
Her match with Becky was fantastic. Her match with Bayley was fantastic. I mean, she's iron sharpens iron now, and she's gonna, once she gets her singles win at WrestleMania, she's gonna be gold, I think.
Sweet and Sassy Creation says the women's tag belts in this story will get them to NXT. Lyra will lose to Tatum, and Becky will turn and eventually become IC champ. I mean, there are just a million routes that I think would have been better. And you got Chef T Gaming says, why not put the IC title on Bayley, have her defend it against Roxanne? If they were putting the tag titles on Becky and Lyra anyway, frustrating. Again, I could think of 5 different routes they could have taken to get to Lyra not having the IC title. Maybe Roxanne or Bayley do. Roxanne versus Bayley. Any number of those, like 3 or 4 different options that were all better than what they did.
Can I be the person to say I think Bayley should be bigger than the IC title?
Sure, but I mean, based on how they booked it, yes. But my hope is that they would give it some prestige and give it some importance and give it something. Like
but
they haven't.
But see that's the thing that it doesn't solve your problem. And so you give it to a Becky or a Bayley who are already made, and they wear the title, but then it just shows you how they can't build new people within this mid card. But I think Chelsea is doing fantastic work as champion there. She just needs opponents to get up to her level, and that's not necessarily their fault. I mean, the writers and producers need to figure out ways to build feuds with this character to get both over, as opposed to just the one great big personality. And shout out to Kaylee Ray and Piper, who are fantastic doing this Secret Service gimmick. But we have these strong characters here, and they hold the title, and they're great. We need the equal and opposite reaction to fight them so that these feuds become interesting, as opposed to what they do with them.
And I mean, if you look at the main roster matches that Chelsea Green has had since being the U.S. champion, she just lost to Zelina, non-title. She lost to Zelina, non-title. She had the U.S. title match against Michin and won. She lost to Tiffany via DQ. Okay, well, first off, why are you booking them against each other in that situation with Tiffany en route to winning the title? Michin beat Chelsea Green by DQ. Chelsea loses all the time. It was like the Usos as tag champions. They would lose. And then when they would put the title on the line, somehow they win. And we're supposed to be like, oh, well, this is a great run because it's long. I think that she's doing great. I think she is being booked against people that they don't build up. It's like, oh, you've tripped Chelsea. You have owned her. So therefore, here is your match of which you will now lose for the title.
Well, they book her as a flake.
Of course.
Without real skill. And the thing is, she's rising above that by being both funny, but also being tough as nails and taking bumps that are just unfriggin' believable for someone, like that. And what has happened is she's now getting the respect pops. So it's hard to get that genie back in the bottle, so to speak, of her being a flake, because everybody knows she's great. So you can't say that she's not that she's an undeserving champion anymore. And that's the gimmick they're kind of running with, is Chelsea as undeserving champion.
Joseph Morris says Triple H is screwed over Liv again. Why does this always happen to her? She deserves so much better. Now, hold on, brother. Hold on, brother. Let's hold on now. I think we know I will criticize Triple H whenever needed. Who was booking Liv last year, friend? Who is booking her last year? I understand that you're very passionate about this. She should have had a bigger presentation. She should have, should have had exactly what Jeff said. Should have had a lot more than what she had, but it's the same man that was booking her last year.
Let me also add that there is some cynical capitalism going on here as well, as you have a show in Las Vegas on Tuesday night for NXT. And who is going to be a bigger draw, Liv and Raquel or Becky Lynch and Lyra for the tag team titles against Gigi and Tatum Paxley? Yeah. Tin Ruza says, new agenda, Bayley to AEW. Also, AEW pay-per-views are better. Never want to hear a complaint about AEW pay-per-view links again. This was like 3 hours and 40 minutes for a WrestleMania show. I did not mind the pacing of this whatsoever. I don't need to see 13 or 14 matches on any wrestling show ever in my entire life. I've never needed to see that. I am good with 8. And then, yeah. People complain about the video package and whatnot, but it gives me a chance to go to the bathroom and make snacks. So I'm happy.
I gotta take big shits, brother. Big shits. I'm okay with it. Was Alexa Nikki ever the real plan? Oh, also to your new agenda, Bayley to AEW. She re-signed at the end of 2023 or beginning of 2024. So,
and she's loving her life with the new contract. So no, I don't think so yet.
Auntie Collins says Becky is back, but at what cost? Turn heel Bayley. And that leads to KE775 saying, do you think Becky attacked Bayley and they do a setup and a long-term build for her and Lyra to wrestle at SmackDown in Dublin, Ireland in August? I think they should build to that for sure. Jeff, I think that this could add the wrinkle to Becky where, I mean, they're just, God, they could have done so much better than all this. The story I pitched last night about Bayley going to Tiffany Stratton and say, don't let her walk all over you, blah, blah, blah. And then Becky, to the rescue again, as we have seen how many times now. Lana gets knocked out of the Royal Rumble. Here's Becky. I want this. Oh, well, Sasha is out of SummerSlam. Who's here? It's Becky. And at what cost? Well, Carmella was going to come out there and take that opportunity. Bayley, I would love for her to be like, listen, I know that you didn't do this to me, but man, you sure are an opportunist. And maybe I could have been able to go. Maybe I would have been able to go. I feel like they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that. Like they should have said, oh, we got to wait and get clearance. And Lyra, probably I would have had her go to Adam Pearce and be like, I found a replacement. We're good. I've got somebody, before they even knew if Bayley would be okay. And that could add more of an emotional wrinkle, some substance, something where Bayley's not even mad. She's just like, Becky, you do this a lot. And maybe Becky reflects on that and we get some sort of, I don't know, interesting conflict.
Here's the other thing. If they're going to follow up on this, Bayley should have been at ringside.
Yeah, she ain't dead, hopefully.
Yeah, she has a bad shoulder.
She's hanging out with Lex somewhere.
She can't walk to the ring. Yeah. Lex got to her, told her to skip the show for more money at WrestleCon.
Her and Lex are playing murder ball somewhere. Like they're just They're just like, chill, they can't come. Come on.
Bayley's
Come
missing
on.
WrestleMania to be at the craps table because she's on a heater.
Nah, bro. She's at Circa Las Vegas at Stadium Swim is where she is.
Okay.
Shout out Circa Las Vegas. Mr. Straight Fire. Actually, Red Devil Gamer says, was Alexa Nikki ever a real plan? There were some tentative plans. Like somebody tried to hit me with no, there were never plans for Alexa. And then somebody close to her was like, yeah, sure, bro. Like that to me. And I was like, okay. So this is something I'm going to dig into a little bit more, but it's hard for me to believe with the direction they were going with Alexa that there wasn't a plan. But also, if you're Nick Khan going on podcasts and saying, well, we don't bench people.
Omos would like a word.
Yeah, Omos would like a word. Omos, they would love to have him in Noah right now.
Yeah.
And Omos was in Vegas. Like, listen, that man wants to do better. He wants to do better. Tin Ruza says, it wasn't the length SRS, it's what was on it. Listen, you can complain about the length, the girth, the circumference, anything you want. But I understand. I get it. The show wasn't for you, but I didn't mind 3 hours and 40 minutes of WrestleMania. DNC did.
Well, I would push back at the person asking about Nikki and Alexa. I mean, look, Nikki and Alexa is a good match, and it's there. Could we heat Nikki up to the point where people would care, number one? And number two, is there anything in this Wyatt 6 group other than really either giving Alexa the full Bray Wyatt gimmick finally, or just an homage for the family to make everybody feel better, kind of a thing? Because look, they were on there for like 2 weeks and then they're just out.
And it's like, oh,
that's it.
Now they're just spooky guys. No, we liked them telling the backstories of these people. How much Eric Rowan lost, how much Bo Dallas lost. A lot of people do you remember how Nikki Cross came into the main roster? It was during one of Vince McMahon's quick fixes. Remember when he was like, turn the lights out for the last hour of Raw, wild card rule, no commercials, all this stuff. This is when they brought up, they hastily brought up a bunch of NXT talent, including EC3, that they had no idea about. They didn't even reference them on TV.
That show. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. Continue.
Yes. And the first person to ever acknowledge Nikki Cross on TV was Alexa Bliss, who was the pretty former champion, popular girl in WWE. And Nikki literally says to her, you can hear me? You can see me? Like she was a ghost. You want to talk to me? And Alexa was just like, yeah, of course I do. You're a person. Why wouldn't I? Nikki got treated like a human being by Alexa, and they formed a bond. And that is a natural connection and a natural story that you can play for. Because Kevin Owens has long said that Vince McMahon treated people like they were stupid. And what you can do now is take a lot of the things that he didn't follow up on and do better with it. Because let me tell you, if they got Malachi Black, sitting in a fucking boiler room for 12 straight weeks, cutting the same pick-a-hand promo, I'm going to lose my mind.
Oh, are we going to get the Book of Black and animated cartoons about his mother and father again? I can't wait.
Too good for that. DNC Digital says, any possible Impact docuseries we'll have with wrestling media? No disrespect. Wondering how it's going to be. Figure they'll only show what they want. They'll cleverly edit it, and they'll do, they'll take their shots and stuff like that. They'll do all that. Who knows? I'll reserve my judgment and see. But they'll make Joe Hendry say how this was always his dream and how this is a big deal. Yeah. And I'm not used to crowds that are this big. And and the talent disparity between myself and Randy Orton is so huge. They'll make him look weak, but they'll make him look supplicant but thankful that WWE and they'll show him hugging Triple H as he goes to the back and thanking him for his WrestleMania moment. Miller says NXT won the weekend for me. Night 1 was anticlimactic and too safe outside the main. Night 2 lacked Chelsea, a tag title match, and AJ losing a bad main event. Yeah. Yeah. Mike Bowers says no complaints about length or girth with Blue Chew. Appreciate you. Mr. Straight Fire says weeks back I asked about Bianca's popularity as she wasn't getting as strong as reactions, recently getting booed. Do you think her decreasing popularity is a reason they broke the streak? I think, Mr. Straight Fire, they were going to do that anyway. I wouldn't say it's losing popularity. I would say it's getting a different reaction, because I would say losing popularity within the context of a TV show by getting less of a reaction. She's getting a reaction. It's just not the one you would desire. And
she got cooled off a bit.
Yes. And she has been adamant that when she turns heel, she wants it to be something creatively satisfying, because she is a very smart woman. She said, I watch what happened with people like John Cena, and I understand the longer I'm a babyface, the more equity I've built up for the eventual heel turn. And she said that she doesn't know if she's ready to be a heel, because when she goes heel, she wants to be the type of person that she has to look herself in the mirror and say, do I really like doing this? And I admire that.
It should be something with her husband, because her husband deserves to be on a WrestleMania show and hasn't in a while. And that dude is just too talented.
Yeah. Ryan says, feels like they need to lean more into the women the next 6 months while the dust settles in the men's division. Hopefully they aren't cowards.
They will be.
It is one of the most criminally underserved divisions I have seen. It's miserable. Jambeard says, isn't a part of Bayley's character that she would have wrestled through the injury? She would have tried. Well, we don't know the severity either, but yes, Jambeard. Jambeard says, I thought Nikki came up with sanity because I remember when they came out while Becky was in the ring to set up a match. Luis points out that was a one-night thing, and they immediately went back to NXT for 6 more months. That's Vince. That's Vince. Yeah. Vince was a decrepit, old, mindless fuck.
Didn't see it in them, and they were mad over in NXT.
Their entrance was so underrated live.
Yes.
Oh my God. I
was at that War Games. It was fantastic.
Because the stereo systems in the arenas with the choppers. Oh my God. It was phenomenal. It was so good. Really loved them. Underrated. I'll tell you what's also underrated. Our friends at NordVPN.com/Fightful. I've told you guys about this so many times, but I'm trying to help you guys get a good deal. Right now, big discount, 4 extra months, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So for some reason you don't like it, you get your money back. And you might say, Sean, what the heck does it do? Here's what happens. You get it on any of your devices. Right now, I have it on this phone, this Surface Pro, this TV that I'm pointing at right now, this studio PC to my right, the router to my left, and the desktop in the other part of my studio. 6 different devices. I've got a bunch of different operating systems, from Windows to Android, all that stuff, but it'll work on any of them. You get the app, you change your virtual location. I usually make mine Canada or the UK. And as a result, you ain't got to tune into CW on Tuesdays for NXT. You don't have to tune into USA Network. I don't even have to have cable anymore to watch WWE. I watched tonight's show on Netflix and Peacock. I had 2 different streams rocking so I could see if there were any differences. And you get all that with NordVPN.com/Fightful. Netflix is remarkably chill about VPNs. They just want your subscription, buddy. They don't care where you're from or where you're pretending to be at. But NordVPN has you covered. And beyond that, you can get pay-per-views at a much more affordable price and listen to your favorites abroad, shield your data from snoops and criminals, protect yourself on public Wi-Fi. This year, I'm going to Dallas. I'm going to New York City. Earlier this year, I went to Toronto. I went to Indianapolis, went to Vegas, and I made sure that I was protected with NordVPN.com/Fightful. Add extra layers of security to your digital life. And if you think that you don't know how to use it, you will. They got that 24/7 tech support. Vince Trauma says what Vince McMahon did to the Ascension was criminal. I don't think they had a high upside, but yes, they were never going to overcome what Vince McMahon did to them.
No, he mocked their entire gimmick and deconstructed it to the point where they were laughing stocks from the moment they came in.
They gave them that gimmick and then mocked it.
Yeah,
they stood no chance. Rick Victor was a really good wrestler. Like, he was a very good performer.
Very
He was
funny
really good.
too. If you ever saw him like off camera, like on Up, Up, Down, Down, or whatever Xavier Woods was doing at that time, he was on an episode of that and just had everybody in like a fetal position laughing.
Yeah.
That dude was great.
Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out. I mentioned on Twitter, you could always tell when he was gonna come out because they moved the stairs. Well, apparently they needed to move the barricade back a little bit. He wrecks into the barricade, and DNC Digital says, if I were that fan, I'd be selling like Ziggler. She did, to the point that Nick Khan came out there to check on her. By the way, Stone Cold counted the audience. Nobody gives a shit about that. They're talking about this woman, and there were people responding like they worked for WWE, like so defensive, like, oh, that bitch. I'm like, guys, y'all don't work for them. They got plenty of money. She is going to be the next green shirt guy at the very least. She's doing exactly what she should do. Listen, you cannot get a brand deal with Morgan & Morgan and then complain that this type of thing happens to you. I'm sorry, you cannot. Some of the biggest ambulance chasers on the fucking planet, and your boy would know. And yes, this woman's going to get it settled. She's going to get money. She's going to get something out of this. They're not going to go, here's a signed bat, kid. Here's one of the commemorative Tops patches.
We gave her a what the hell does she want for her money?
This woman is
Make
about to
bank.
decide if she wants to keep her structured settlement or if she wants cash now. That's what she's about to decide.
The Miz is in danger of being fired so they can pay this lady.
Yes. Nicholas, this is the biggest show. Nicholas says, I know Nick Khan saw a lawsuit flash in front of his eyes between the Austin crash, ran to the woman with free front row comps for life. Oh,
how'd you like to meet Bayley? We'll call Bayley from the pool.
She's not busy.
Where's
Lex? We need Lex. Oh my God.
How'd you like to book the women's division?
Omos is going to finally get an update in his talent relations app.
We have a job for you, Omos.
Omos has got to go hang out in Omaha, Nebraska for the next 3 weeks and go to Top Golf with some woman. Oh, Jesus Christ.
For Netflix or something like that. The other person who needs to be scared to death is Stone Cold, because I'm sure he was looking around going, please don't give me a breathalyzer right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he had a pre-show cocktail or two. I don't think he was.
Listen, if I were WWE, I would have gotten Stone Cold Steve Austin smooth the fuck up out of there immediately afterwards.
Yes.
Get him out of there.
They show him drinking beers afterwards.
Did he drive it back up?
I don't think so. I don't think he did. But
I was going to say, I wonder if somebody told him, don't get back on it after that. Oh, my God.
I want this woman to be on the next 4 weeks of Raw with just an increasing number of body cast and neck brace and crutches.
DNC Digital says the guy behind her tweeted about it. DNC Digital, please let us know what he said. But he goes, it says insurance salesman in his bio. He probably closed the deal.
He might be a board member by the end of next week.
Oh my God. Becker Law Office is on the line right now, buddy. Ooh, the head hitter Daryl Isaacs is foaming at the mouth, buddy. Jambeard says she's going to become green shirt lady now. Oh my God. Well, let's run through some highlights of the presser before we get to this main event. Peter Rosenberg says they're not going to put that match in the loop, but it was a clunker in many ways. I have at least liked how how honest they are more on the press, on the post shows, pre-shows. They were like, hey, Big E, who do you think's going to team with Lyra? And he's like, yeah, probably Becky, which I liked.
Yeah, they used to do that thing where it's like they couldn't mention the things and they named someone preposterous and it looked stupid, and then Booker would be the one to come out and go, oh, I think it's the most obvious person you could think of.
Triple H said tonight was the perfect opportunity for Joe Hendry in the spot against Orton, and says he'll have more opportunities on Mania in the future. Triple H also said the future is bright for Penta, not just in WWE, but as they expand into Mexico with AAA. I want to mention to you guys, Lucha Blog on Twitter posted a great article about that. I've read his work since DDT Digest when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So like even having our report being cited by him was honestly an honor for me, because I did not grow up on Meltzer or Mike Johnson, all due respect to them, or Wade. I grew up on DDT Digest. That's where my reporting was inspired from. So I would encourage you guys to check that out. But Triple H says he wasn't sure if China being in the Hall of Fame will happen next year, but it's definitely happening. And we'll have more comments momentarily, but it's the main event, Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to talk about the build first before we get into the match itself?
Yeah, Jambeard says she is now hearing Shane's theme song running through her head. Oh, I love it. Let's talk about the build, Jeff, because what we should be talking about, or shouldn't be talking about right now, is the omission of a gentleman by the name of The Rock, Dwayne
what
Johnson.
This whole thing revolved around, and it's one of those things where when I was excited, I loved the heel turn itself at Elimination Chamber and the way it was done and how fantastic it was, and thinking of all the possibilities of what the story might be and things of that nature. But there were obvious roads, and even if you went down them and they were predictable, they would have been great. Cena is obsessed with breaking the record. Cena's obsessed with his age and being able to know that he can still do it. Maybe Cena doesn't like Dusty. We could bring in Cody's father and that memory into it. We can do all that. You know, any number of Cena and The Rock talked, and they thought this new generation isn't as good, and they're not as good for the business as he and The Rock were during the Attitude Era, et cetera, et cetera. Instead, you fans, you don't believe in me. Instead, we made him weak instead of strong. And there's something where the bad guy has to have kind of a point in order to be believable as a heel. And this one was just, no, that's bullshit. And everybody knew it was bullshit the moment he did it. And so they kind of tuned out and waited. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved the promo the last couple weeks. I thought they were doing great with that, but this felt like a lot of this feud felt like we had an idea and then it got canceled because we wouldn't be able to, because somebody creatively didn't like it. So we had to go with another option. And we're trying to smile at you and sell it to you, even if you're not buying it. But don't worry, we'll stick the landing. That's what it felt like to me. This felt like a feud that like either got tested and nobody liked it, or Cena or The Rock said, that doesn't work for me. We can't do that. We come up with something else. I have an idea. That's what it felt like to me.
Jake from Windy City says, wasn't it Meltzer who was one of the first to say that Rock might not be at Mania? Looks like he's owed an apology. Yeah, Dave said that, and everybody railed out, like just were horrible to him about it. I had mentioned that, guys, there was no creative plan emanating from the Bad Blood appearance. Like, they found out he was going to be able to come there. They moved the Hell in a Cell match to start the show because The Rock was going to be able to be there. And I straight up told you guys, creative, when they were told, hey, why was there a reason? And they're like, not really, but it was left ominous and open-ended. A lot of people tried to bury me. And then The Rock even did the thing. And he said, there was always a plan. Then it comes out, oh, by the way, no, Cody was actually pitched this heel turn and decided against it.
I remember that.
And I mean, I can tell you guys, I was told when I followed up about the Meltzer thing and found out, yeah, there was no creative plan emanating from Bad Blood. All this came together afterwards. They said, well, we have been told to prepare for WrestleMania as if The Rock is not going to be there. And I said, oh, not wrestling? And they said, not going to be there. And they also said, well, we also know The Rock, and if he decides 24 hours before night 2 that he wants to wrestle Eddie Thorpe, they're going to do it. And
he has to be there though, or he has to be the driving force in this angle if he's the guy behind the heel turn. You can't do this heel turn without the guy who caused the heel turn. It's ridiculous.
Jake from Vincent says, I know Paul said I'm not supposed to critique anymore, but that was terrible. Cena can't wrestle and The Rock keeps setting us up for disappointment. Hope they learn to write compelling TV soon. Juan Guzman says, what was the point of Cena's turn if The Rock didn't show? Will it ever be addressed? Called it yesterday that Dom won the match. Shotgun Sean says, I guess Dwayne must have had somewhere else better to be tonight. Dave was right, but somehow I don't think he'll get any apologies. He won't. And DNC Digital says The Rock didn't show up because he's still trying to solve that Rubik's Cube. Well, very little mention of The Rock whatsoever outside of saying you sold out to The Rock. I'm sure that in 3 months, The Rock will pop up on something and do something. He'll do a thumbs up. He'll do the, all the hand gestures. He'll look like, and then people will go, he's 20 steps ahead.
It's the worst situation because you put the guys in a bind in the company by not being there, but the big angle is revolving around you. It's just, it's bad.
You put the guys in the company in a bind when Dave Meltzer and Sean Ross Sapp report that it has been out there that WWE Creative has been informed to operate on the assumption that The Rock isn't going to be there. And then a fellow by the name of the Actor Man Essex says, are you really not working Mania 41? Say it ain't so. And The Rock replies, don't believe any of that bullshit, with a wink emoji and a fist. And I say it because I'm disappointed. He's a fascinating performer. He's one of the most famous people in the world. The show's better when he's on it, even when he does shit that's completely pointless. I'd rather have him on the show than not on the show. 10 Ruza says, how long's Paul going to take Dwayne's shenanigans? How about forever? He's
on the board. He's his boss.
On the board. Yeah. Got the greatest deal ever. He got his licensing, ownership, and on the board. Like he doesn't have to license out The Rock. It's his now. Just to do nothing. It was pretty cool. Great deal.
It's a flex to come in and start one of the hottest angles in your company in a while. Yeah. And then not show up again and go, you need me for this, don't you? It's baffling. And somebody just put, and Travis Scott being here is friggin' pointless.
Mr. Nice Guy Rice says, awful main event. Crowd didn't play along. No Rock payoff. And this idiot Travis Scott was associated with Cena's record-breaking reigns. Felt like jumping the shark. Too corporate. Feels bad to me. Travis Scott, Jesus Christ. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about this because I had thought for quite a while that the crowd would play along. I thought for months they would. I thought that they would be like, okay, we finally got the Cena heel turn. Let's go along for the ride. To me, part of the joy of pro wrestling, if I'm going as a fan, is if you want somebody to turn heel, you're gonna help them out a little bit, When my family comes and watches me wrestle and they say, oh, we can't wait to cheer for you, I go, you better fucking not. What are you doing? Like, boo the hell out of me. Make me look like the biggest jerk ever. Do not cheer me. I am a heel. John Cena wanted to get boos on this night. And yes. Instead, we got more of what, honestly, listen, it bodes well for John Cena's first promo after this, because he'll be like, you guys are exactly the sheep, the puppets that I said that you were all along. You did exactly what I said you were going to do, and this is why I hate you. If anybody can pull off a you people promo, it is him. Let's talk about the reaction itself. Did that surprise you? Because it was sort of telegraphed on Friday.
Friday surprised me. I thought we were all going to go along with this and boo John Cena and stuff. And instead we got the neckbeard contingent cheering him on, much like, the horseman crowds of the mid 80s type of a thing where it's like, yes, we want to see you beat up Dusty Rhodes. I was a little shocked that Mania was this vocal. And the match beginning to the point where I thought John Cena was purposely trying to wrestle a match as a bad wrestler for a few moments in there to try and drag it down. It's one of those things where, and this is a macro point, that the pace was so plodding that I thought, okay, it's going to pick up speed and we're going to have a cast of thousands by the time this match ends, doing a bunch of stuff with guys who have various motivations to either help Cody or hurt Cody or help Cena or whatever. And it was going to end in a absolute schmaz. And then we'd go, yeah, that was an overbooked mess, but that's what it should have been. Instead, we got this straight out of 1985, almost.
Yeah. Why would Cody not have anybody to help him within the context of kayfabe? Exactly. Nobody? Even Sean Spears. Call up Sean Spears.
This was the stupidest of stupid babyface syndrome. And I think that was the point.
That was in my notes. They wanted you to feel bad. Let me get to how we got there. First off, I want to say the lighting for the main event entrance or the intros, phenomenal. That was
Cena's was great. I loved that. Yeah.
But I mean, like for the in-ring intros, so good. They did chain to start, and I do think it was intentionally looking like a bad wrestler because that was so much of Cody's build for this is that you suck as a wrestler. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
We went into the AA, the super AA. Cody kicked out. Cody didn't hit a Cody cutter. He hit a Cody stunner.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cena took that off that. We see one of the weakest ref bumps of all time from Glassjaw Chad Patton.
Refs made of paper mache is pure 1985. Just you touch them and they go down.
Steel buckle, kick out of an AA, and then here comes Travis Scott. And Travis Scott takes the longest goddamn... You would think that Matt Hardy was getting beaten up in the ring and Travis Scott was hanging out with Jeff. Because he's just...
Jey Uso came back around backstage to that meeting yesterday of Randy and The Undertaker and said, it's taking a long time for him to get down to that ring, isn't it?
It's like it's a rib, because what do the veterans always say to the rookies? Slow it down, kid. And he took that shit literally. Yeah. He took forever. And then he just yanks Chad Patton out, and Chad Patton is then again dead. And then we get what I consider one of the lamest shit endings that I have seen. And it is Cody. And I always go back to this. One of the best lessons I ever learned about just general booking came from Road Warrior Animal on their DVD. And he was like, people looked at us as meatheads, but we always protected ourselves as being street smart. We were not stupid baby faces because nobody likes to cheer for somebody that is stupid. And they made Cody look dumb here. And again, I always say this as the character, not the human being. I know Cody Rhodes a little bit. He is a brilliant man. Yes. Very smart.
Yes.
I mean, look at all he's done. They made him look dumb. Sorry, Jeff.
No, and his book, like when he was doing his angles in AEW, I always understood them because they came from that play of old school wrestling, slow build. Sure. But he was never dumb. This is dumb because they made him pure. And he's never been pure as a character. He's always had that edge to him where you thought he could turn heel at any time because he liked the lifestyle of being a champion. The whole point of this American Nightmare character is he used to be this dumbass kid who didn't understand the professional wrestling business and he had to leave to go figure it all out. And now he's back and he's figured it all out. And they tried to set this up with the Michael Cole interview on the pre-show where it's, I still love John Cena. But they didn't do enough on the weekly television because Cody saw right through John Cena on all the weekly television every week. And for him to have this moment of hesitation when he has spent 2 years trying to finish his story against the Bloodline, who cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat some more, to the point where he had to bring in Seth Rollins to take a bullet for him so he could finally beat this guy, is malpractice to the character of Cody Rhodes. And I don't understand how you come back from this, no matter how smart the promo is by Cody Rhodes.
And what I would do is highlight Seth Rollins last night. I would, if I were him, trying to salvage this. The no hitting with the belt thing is one of the lamest. Not having somebody, I could see Cody explaining by saying, I had Seth Rollins take that bullet for me, and it sidelined him for a number of months and then deteriorated him mentally to where he had to do what he did the night prior. And I felt overwhelming guilt about that and said, you know what? I'm going to do this on my own this year. I believe that I can. But like, I see this and the Travis Scott thing, and we've got some super chats about that, I believe. I would like Luis, if he could have split those up a little bit. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I hope we don't get a summer full of the same bloodline interference bullshit, because I've already got to deal with that on the other show, and I don't like it. And that guy thinks that he's running the bloodline angle for AEW. Not ideal, but Mike Bauer says Cena's win gives him lineal custody of Dominik. Damon says, do you think Cena would have won if he didn't turn heel? No, I think he would have chased throughout the entire summer and then had a brief run in the fall.
He would have won Money in the Bank, probably.
Maybe, yeah. Shotgun Sean says, Cody getting booed, he should take some time off. No, he shouldn't. No. I don't want less interesting characters on this show.
I don't want him going, man, Cena's in my head and I have to go away for a while.
Yeah.
Because that won't work. I mean, he can come back and be fiery and everything, but it still doesn't really address what happened. And and here's the problem, is they need to go more into the suck to get out of it. They have to address this because it's too big. It's too out there for him to go, oh, after 3 nut shots last night, I didn't think to wear a cup, possibly, kind of a thing. But also,
we did not get into Paul Heyman really racking those balls too, like that.
Well, man I thought he was angry because he hit the chair with the fist, so he thought it didn't come over as much. I think I thought he had broken his hand at first. But again, it's like your point stands. It's like, this is a guy who has had a plan for everything up until now. Now, maybe he goes, you know what? I had a moment of, I was just getting so ready for Mania and getting tickets for my family and whatnot. I forgot to make plans for an evil bastard like John Cena and what he would do and bringing Travis Scott back, but that still makes him look like an idiot. We got to figure out some smart way to get there. And I don't know if there is one right now. I'm sure we can brainstorm. Maybe they have one, but I don't see it. This was straight out of 85, 86 to get the heat for he got screwed by somebody. Like, maybe we have a Dusty finish and they decide because we're going to hold the title up or whatever. You could do that potentially, but that doesn't help the Cody character. The Cody character is really the damaged goods here. And it's one of those things where I'm a writer, or I used to be, and I'm flummoxed as how to get out of this painted corner right now.
We have a bunch of super chats and humper chats. Someone says Cena's entrance was lame, not just heelish, lame. What did you think about that? I didn't mind it.
That was basic and simple. I think that was the point. No
He was trying to
frills.
take things away from the audience. Yeah.
Yes, and I kind of, you know what, I really would have had a rebrand, and I liked the idea of like when I read an interview with him that they were thinking about a heel turn prior to that, and he had a bunch of new gear made, and he had robes, and he had new music and everything ready to go, and I was like, that I'd kind of like to see that, to be honest with you, as opposed to just the I'm taking wrestling away from you. It's like, okay, take Ric
Ryan
Flair
says
away
Cody
from
will
me.
continue to look dumb till he wins the AEW title. I disagree with that.
No.
Tin Ruza says Cena with a love letter to his boy Vince with that. I mean, not wrong with that type of finish. Lord Peter says Cena audibly telling Cody to hit him again 3 times in the middle of a match was uncomfortable. it is amazing how little John Cena has improved with that, Jeff. Like he has never worked to do anything better about hiding that.
Shout out to Botchamania, who first put me onto that, and now you can't unsee it or unhear it. He is screaming directions from across the ring and whatnot.
One of my favorite of all time. They have edited it out of Peacock and Network and everything, but as you watch the Rumble live, whatever year it was that Kali came in and wrecked shop, Shawn Michaels was on the floor, and my good friend and I were watching it. And you could just hear Shawn Michaels go, "Look at the camera! Look at the camera!" And I can't remember who it was that was in that I talked to. And I mentioned that, and they go, "Oh, that has nothing." Like he was throwing us over the top rope, and he was amazed at how far he was throwing us. And he would scream, "Fuck! Wow!" as he was throwing them over the top rope, because Kali was just stunned that he could launch a human being that far. Yeah, the Botchamania talk too much is an all-timer, but Thunder Skydancer actually has a good point, and I would love if this was integrated into it. He says Cody has more flair than Dusty. That's his story.
Yeah.
That should be something that he says. I have tried really hard to do things my father's way, but the reality is I was never a common man. I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, which he has said. He goes, I did experience hard times, but this is the life that I'm living. And to your point, Jeff, he should be willing to do anything to keep that.
I think during the Legacy run, I wrote to a friend of mine who was on staff and pitched, you should have Tully Blanchard be Cody's father or make the accusation that Tully had an affair with Dusty's wife and bring him in, because he was working local indies and stuff at the time. I was like, and looking to possibly get back in, and they were thinking about having him as an agent, I think, around this time when they brought him in. I was like, well, if they do, just have him make the snide claim that Cody's kid is actually him, because he doesn't look anything like Dusty.
Speaking of kids, James has a decent one. He says, what if Cody looked over, saw Liberty, and that's what stopped him from hitting Cena? Like if he says that he saw his daughter and his daughter's shaking her head no, listen, that could play on your emotions a little bit. I could see that. Damon says, I'm not mad at Cena winning. I'm mad at how it happened. Kicking out of 5 AAs, but a single belt shot and low blow does it. Listen, buddy, I would take 5 AAs before I would ever get cracked in the head with a WWE championship. I mean that sincerely. Like, you could do it. I'd take 10 before I would take 1 belt shot. Those things are heavy and they would hurt. And listen, if you really got hit by a belt, you ain't probably wrestling for a couple months.
I am shocked we didn't get any juice after the turnbuckle hits, and that this didn't become a death struggle for Cody to overcome basically all this stuff being done to him.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. Because that's what I thought they were going for. When they kept on kicking out of the AAs and whatnot, it's like Cody Rhodes is a man possessed to not lose this title and to keep his legacy going, et cetera, et cetera. And he's going to go by hook or by crook. And then I thought the cast of thousands would come out. But it's one of those things where, yeah, I kind of agree. It's like you're taking super finishers off the top turnbuckle and kicking out at 2.5, but the nut shot right in the penis. 1, 2, 3.
Yep. Ibro says the fact they didn't nail down 99% of these stories before Mania is crazy to me. All Out 2024 felt like a better built show. there are a lot of better built shows than this. I was incredibly disappointed by the creative development in this WrestleMania. The matches were largely okay, but
it was almost after 2 years of really good builds that they had, that they were burned out, and they kind of just took a mulligan on this one. I mean, it's not that all the stories were bad necessarily, but it was kind of like we had this big 2-year story and we're burned out because that's what we were really putting all our energy for, but we still have to be creating 52 weeks of original content each year. And this would be like one of those things where it's like, maybe you have the B team while you're doing this big story, coming up with the big story for next year, as opposed to that. But I get it, but at the same time, I don't get it.
Oh, Jeff. Somebody else got hit by a golf cart. It was being driven to the back. I'm watching. Oh my God. She got mowed down. Oh, not another one. Oh, this is wild. I'm going to retweet it, guys. Somebody else backstage got she bumped hard. It was a golf cart backstage. She ran right into it, though. Like, you're not going to get any sympathy from people for that one. It's bad. Again, I want to thank Luis for being here, moderating for us. We still have a bunch of super chats and humper chats. And I want to thank over 31,000 of you who have watched live as of now. DNC Digital says that woman's going to show up like JBL in a neck brace. And thanks for Luis for finding that video for me. Crazy 101 says, goat emoji got the big 17. Night 2 was better. Listen, I'm happy for John Cena in that regard. I'm very happy. Dante says, why does every match need a different ad? Hard to get into the moment when we cut from Cody to the drumstick mascot. Listen, man, they are paying multiple talent salaries just off of the ads to these 2 nights. I can say, well, why would they do that? Listen, I'm sorry, guys. If I could get that many ads, I would be thrilled. I would be very thrilled because that is guaranteed money. You don't have to hope for or anything like that. I understand, though. New Lac City sent a humper chat. Says, what's up? Oh, you saw the video, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, it's so great. It's so great. New Lac City says, what's up, guys? Torn here on this Mania because night 1 was mid to the main event, which was an awesome main. Night 2 was a lot better until the terrible main event. Worst Mania main event I can remember since MetLife Mania. It was very disappointing. I mean, I was fine with Cena winning. I wanted Cena to win. But
yeah, it was a more interesting choice. He should have won.
Yes. And people chasing the title throughout the summer is what should happen.
Yes.
Now I'm sitting here thinking, how often is he going to be there? Because what I don't want to see is him taking 2-3 months off between title defenses. If this is it, this is it. Otherwise, just wait until you're going to have him and then use it. I don't. Jay Miller says, does Logan Paul have a bigger 2025 schedule with a win? He was supposed to be around more this year, so I would say yes. Vincent Alvarado says the SmackDown tag titles had a well-built story over months with 4 tag teams, and they left it off the show. They did.
Yes, they should.
They 25, 25, 25, 25 booking with these 4 and left them off.
Those matches have been bangers.
They've been incredible. They've been really, really great. Broadway Joe saying, seeing so many tweets of AEW tonight, seeing interesting to see how their ticket sales will reflect WWE's blunder over the coming weeks.
Minimal.
Not corollary. I don't think
that's not how people act, and people aren't going to be that mad at the show. We are being nitpicky here. It's one of those things where it's like Cena won the title. That's what we wanted to see, and they're good with it. They don't. We're talking about how the sausage is made. They're going to enjoy the sausage.
Yeah, a little bit different here. Broadway Joe, actually, Stephen Harden says, since this was advertised as Cena's final Mania, when he does drop the title, who do you predict winning it from Cena? This is an interesting one. Do you think it's Cody? Do you think he gets his lick back? Because I think he gets it back after Cena drops it to somebody else. I think the thing is getting a win back more. I do think that Cena loses it, and then has like his month or 2 month babyface run to end his career? How are you feeling?
I think it's Punk or Rollins.
I think it's Punk. Yeah. And Punk
Would
is
love
always the answer.
for it to be Gunther though, but it ain't gonna be.
Me too.
Gunther Cena, I'm here for that. I'm here for him killing him with chops.
I wouldn't mind it being Braun Breaker. I wouldn't mind that at all either. Crowning him as like the new guy. And yeah. And he'd be a guy, he don't want anybody's help at all.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need it. Travis Scott spear, Rock spear, anybody else spear, he's good. Jambeard says night 1 was an all right show with a great finish. Night 2 was a great show with an all right finish. See a lot of stuff like that. Jambeard says at least Timu Rodman took a crossroads like a champ. He did. I was horrified when I saw him about ready to take that. Supermo says didn't love the ending. Made sense that Cena said he was going to ruin wrestling, and he did. He said he didn't need Travis Scott. No, that's clever. And Daniel Brown says, I think 95% of wrestling fans hate Travis getting involved. I also think creative knew that, which means a lot more to come. This will pay off in the end. Just my opinion. Your thoughts, guys. I got no problems with Travis Scott being involved. He is a major music star. He's going to get some crossover there. He's doing some training. He cares about it. He did something a little too stiff that he wasn't supposed to do, and then did not have a problem going in there and taking a crossroads. They had to talk Gronkowski for 2 hours into taking a little catch jump with 15 strong guys from NXT. And Travis Scott just did this shit. So I got no issues with Travis Scott being involved. I've got an issue with the ref laying out for the bumps that he took from Travis Scott and Cena. But other than that,
Travis Scott is marketing, and it's fine. It's good. It's good to get crossover media for wrestling. It is, and it's one the problem with Travis Scott is he should be the harbinger of the Rock. That's what I thought it was gonna be. Is that he's the emissary, like if you ever saw those last 2 Avengers movies where like relax everybody, you will all be dead soon. That guy, he's that guy, and then here comes Thanos coming in. That's what that should have been. Every time. Travis Scott should not appear without The Rock, I think, but they did it this way. I have no problem with it. And yes, that ref should be told, all right, if they don't lay in the shot, you don't bump like a champ.
Cena was asked about The Rock, and he refused to answer it and called it a clickbait question, largely in character, obviously. That's what I would say, too, if I were him, probably. Get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. We are heading down the home stretch. Please leave a thumbs up on this video. Check out our info docs, our interviews. We have a ton of them. We are live almost every night. Raw on Monday, NXT on Tuesday, Wednesday night for AEW, Thursday night for TNA, Friday for SmackDown, Saturday for Collision. And then throughout the week, we have Tuesday mornings with Andrew Zarian and Rich. Andrew is one of the most connected people in wrestling media regarding TV. On Wednesdays, I have The Hump with Jimmy Van, the founder of Fightful, where we answer your questions. And then on Saturdays, you have Grapsity. Phenomenal show. We have a sister YouTube channel, Fightful Overbooked, that has, I would say, the best morning show in wrestling, In the Weeds. It is fantastic. A ton of additional content. We also have a clips channel, Fightful Scraps. We've got a bunch of event footage and interview clips, a lot of stuff like that. Please check that out. We also have Fightful Espanol. Boy, did we pick a good time to launch that. Our moderator, Luis, kind of handles that. We also have Select Espanol. That one hasn't quite taken off. We're thinking about maybe rolling that into our Twitter and things like that. But we do have a Fightful Espanol Twitter because we do want to serve that audience a little bit better. Vincent Alvarado says, I think Cena's first defense is Backlash against Orton in St. Louis. I think Punk beats him at SummerSlam. Hell in a Cell versus Cena versus Cody after. I like the idea of Orton in St. Louis, but I also think that they will want to give Orton a win in St. Louis considering that he is going to be a big drawing point for that show, Jeff.
I would agree. I don't.
What
I
part?
mean, well, they're gonna want to give him a. I mean, he's the marketing for Backlash. You don't want to sell him and then have him lose. But they may just keep him away from Cena and have him go after maybe Jay instead.
Yeah.
To avoid this. Now, it's one of those things where it's like you don't have to. I mean, yeah, this is, man. I know it's hard because you want a guy like Orton to win in St. Louis, but you have to think of somebody he can beat.
Yeah. Oh man, let's see what else we got here. We've got Extrava Gav saying, well, I was ultimately disappointed by that main event. Night 2 was a tremendous show overall, and we got the fantastic main event last night, so we still got our big main event match. Yeah. If you combined the best parts of these 2 nights, you had an incredible WrestleMania.
Yes.
You put the Fatal 4-Way IC title match. If you put the women's match, the last night's main event, some elements of that, you'd have a great one. Ben says Cena's never been known for his in-ring work, but good God, all the respect, but retirement seems like a good call. If we get the Orton match, it'll be a straight up snooze fest. Your time is up, sir. Sorry. Yeah, he ain't good. He ain't good in the ring anymore. And that's why, like, when I see the Orton match, I'm like, tables, AAs, RKOs, punt teases, STFUs, stuff like that.
He's here to play the hits. Here to play the hits.
Yeah. Joseph McBride says, no, Rock, I think, really hurt the main event. Imagine Stone Cold saving Cody and having one final Rock-Austin standoff. Rock had to be there after EC and the turn. I don't think that is out of the question, having one more Rock-Austin face-off like that. And I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. And I think hopefully that can be a lesson learned thing for Cody this time, to where whenever it is that he does face John Cena again, that he brings that. And DNC Digital says it's crazy we've reached a point to where a Rock appearance will be met with eye rolls. Triple H didn't even thank him during his speech. Well, listen, you could not waterboard me into watching 90 straight minutes of that. I'm sorry. All due respect to Triple H and his contributions to wrestling.
I had forgotten about the cast of thousands in the match last year. You know, you had your Undertaker, you had Rock, you had all that. So maybe I'm wrong on my thinking, but I would have, the problem with doing the Rock and Austin stare down is that you want the match. And I don't think they're going to do the match. So you don't want to tease something you can't deliver on, much like the Rock being the main focus of the heel turn for John Cena. So it's a no-win situation. Like, people love to see that member berries thing, but if you're not going to get the match, then of what use is it really?
Lord Peter says all we need is the Rock to hit Cena with the finger poke of doom and make the wrestling world spontaneously combust. That would sincerely, like, I wouldn't say kill your business, but that would screw up your business. If, like, I know he says it sarcastically, but if they did that, there would be fans leaving in droves. This would be a me and my friend Mark are going to stop watching, and then they actually stopped watching situation.
There's a level of doing a match like you're a bad wrestler and doing a match like you're doing a Vince Russo homage. And you don't want to do the latter. You don't want to piss off your fan base because you're doing stuff that pissed off the fan base 30 years ago. You want to piss them off within the story you're actually telling.
I just got this message. Somebody had sent Jordan Grace a thing that says, just a heads up, there's someone claiming to be your uncle in the Top Slam app trying to promise autographs of you and other stuff to get a card from the game of yours. He's provided images of proof. Hope you have a great night. Jordan Grace quote tweeted and says, "This is dead ass my uncle. What the hell is he doing?" Oh my God. I love it.
Family's the worst, aren't they?
Oh, I love it. Tin Ruza says, bring back the spinner belt. F it. Why not? Tin Ruza, first off, thank you for all the super chats. Yes. He should bring it back. A new updated one. He should.
He should totally bring back everything branding from that period and look like the most out of place guy and try and play it off as cool.
I agree. We got one more super chat from our wonderful friend Kim Gray. Says, I love Cody. I love Cena. Give me a good story, and I don't mind the loss. This was terrible. Last year was such a ride. This was so flat. Never want to see The Rock after tonight. He can stay gone. I mean, a lot of people are going to feel like that, especially fans, because this is a fan service industry, and the heel won, and that's disappointing. But I'm not upset with the result. I am just like, oh, that's how they got there. No, Rock, what the hell are we doing here? So I share your sentiment a little bit, Kim, but probably not for the same reasons. But it's deflating because this deserved a much better close. I knew the match was always going to be, but I was looking forward to how it unfolded, how the story worked.
Yeah, and I'm with you about, it's like, okay, The Rock can appear at rando B pay-per-views and NXT in Los Angeles, but he can't appear at the biggest event of the year with the biggest crowd of the year. That just feels wrong to me. Okay, you're shooting a movie. Most movies, unless you're shooting in downtown LA on Sunday morning, it's Easter, for God's sakes. Nobody's working today. Nobody. It's a holiday. Get your ass to Vegas. That's all I can think of.
Oh, guys, I want to thank you all so much. If you don't already, follow us on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on Threads, all that good stuff. But leave a thumbs up on this video. It goes such a long way in telling YouTube that you want to see us. And we are fighting an uphill battle with the algorithm. I've taken more of a hand in our marketing, and it's helped our subscribers of late. But we post so much. We have so much content that YouTube is like, yo, chill out. But we're like, hell nah, we ain't doing it. So leave a thumbs up. It lets the world know or lets YouTube know that you like what we're doing. Please subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. I know a lot of you will say, why the hell would I pay for wrestling news? It is the best wrestling news. It's the most accurate wrestling news, the most reputable wrestling news. It is aggregated by literally everybody, including mainstream outlets. We would greatly appreciate it. I want to thank Luis, our moderator, who has killed it the last couple nights, and especially as long as we've had them. But Jeff, as we wrap up, any thoughts?
Much love to the Fightful family. I enjoyed my time here when I was here, and I enjoy coming back every so often. Shout out to Anna Bauer. Miss you. Would have loved to have had the whole crew back here.
We definitely miss her. Pavi Pants says, I feel like El Grande Americano should have been with the Luchadors with a AAA.
No, you know how many people would have been pissed about that, though? And seen it as that was disrespectful to the history of Lucha, blah, 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 blah. I would have laughed, but it's also in bad taste. It can be both.
Jared says, Cody didn't even think to call Jon Stewart. That's a good shout. That's a good shout from that one. Jeff, tell the people where they can find you.
I am at CrapGame13 on X. I do a show on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network called Shake Them Ropes. Myself and Chris Novembrino take a not-so-serious look at that week's AEW and WWE. Usually drops late in the week. I also do a show over on Fight Game Media called The Dynamite Show. Myself and Wrestling Observer's Paul Fontaine, about 20 minutes after Dynamite goes on the air, go on YouTube to break down everything for AEW that week. That drops for free in your audio podcatcher, so you can watch the Fightful post show if you so choose. Appreciate all of you saying the kind words for me these past 2 nights. I really appreciate it.
I also want to thank our social media team. Kate has been killing it over there. Corey, Kyler, Rob Wilkins, and also our writing team. I cannot possibly convey to you guys the level of work that Jeremy Lambert specifically does on a week like this. I would wager to say about 80 to 85% of the transcripts that you guys read across all wrestling websites emanate from Jeremy Lambert personally listening to these shows and transcribing them. He does an incredible job. Robert, Skyler, Corey all did a great job over there. And of course, Joel Pearl over in Las Vegas. We had Phil and Reg doing Grapsody as well. But I just want to say thank you to you guys. I know this is the biggest weekend of the year. I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I do, and I love it so much. I did not go to WrestleMania week this year. My first time, I just felt like I could do more from home, even with the media ahead of it. I'm very happy about it, but hopefully I see a bunch of you all this upcoming weekend in Indianapolis at Squared Circle Expo. I hope to see many of you there, and I'll be in Dallas for All In. I'll be in New York City the week of WrestleMania week. But lots of fun stuff there. I am going to go live on Monday afternoon at some point on FightfulSelect.com. $5.99 a month. Trust me, you'll like it. Just want to say I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you all. And we're back here tomorrow. Until next time, we're out.